Today we'll explore another statistical concept that is fundamental to understanding and appropriately using quantitative methods in fair lending, and that concept is correlation. When two things are correlated, it means that they are interdependent. For example, the price of a loan is often correlated with credit score. Borrowers with higher credit scores receive lower prices on their loans, as you can see illustrated in this scatter plot. This is a negative correlation, because in general, the lower the credit score, the higher the price, and the higher the credit score, the lower the price. When two things are uncorrelated, they are independent from one another. For example, the temperature on the day when an individual acquires a loan is probably independent of the price that they receive on that loan. This means that there is no discernible connection or pattern between these two things. Perhaps the most common and dangerous misunderstanding of correlation is that correlation is the same as causation, when in fact this is not the case. In the case of credit scores and loan prices, correlation may be the result of causation, meaning a borrower's credit score does cause the bank to charge them a lower price. But it's also possible for two variables to be correlated by random chance. Suppose our data on loan prices and the temperature look more like this: positively correlated. Lower temperatures are associated with lower prices, and higher temperatures are associated with higher prices. This correlation could be the result of random chance, called a spurious correlation. So it would be wrong to conclude that correlation is causation in this case, meaning warmer temperatures do not necessarily cause higher prices. It is also possible that two variables are correlated because they share a common cause, although one doesn't necessarily cause the other. For example, the chocolate consumption in a country is positively correlated to the number of Nobel Prizes won by citizens of that country. Should we conclude that a country would win more Nobel Prizes if it increased the availability of chocolate? Of course not. Actually, wealthier countries have higher levels of chocolate consumption and more Nobel Prize winners. So these variables are not spuriously correlated, but they are caused by some other factor, in this case, wealth. The last point that I will make is that correlation is not always linear. For example, income generally increases with age until you approach retirement age. Then the correlation becomes negative. Therefore, in a case like this, you must account for non-linearity in the analysis of the relation between these two variables. So in summary, it's important to remember that correlation does not necessarily equal causation, meaning just because two variables are associated with one another does not necessarily mean that one causes the other. This association may be the result of random chance, called a spurious correlation, or it may be that the variables share a common cause. And lastly, it's important to remember that correlation is not always linear.